Hi everyone, hope all of you are doing great. I'm Dr. Gursheen Kaur and I welcome you all back to my channel. But this video is not going to be about me as promised. Today we're going to get into conversation with one of my fellow Neet PG achievers and a very dear junior of mine, Dr. Anikait Ahuja, who secured an All India rank of 599 guys this year while being in internship. So, I mean, that's phenomenal. And, I'm very happy today because of course, guys, when someone from your own college does something so outstanding, you feel proud. I mean, and that's precisely what I'm feeling today. So, without wasting any further time, let's just welcome him and get to know more about his MBBS life, about his preparation journey, and how he did what he did and made such impossible thing possible. So, hi, Dr. Aniket. Welcome to this conversation. You're finally here. So, please tell us, how has your life been post results and tell us about yourself.
So, hello everyone, and thank you so much, Dr. Kushin, for inviting me to your channel. And I'm doing great, thank you, and super excited for this conversation. So, in life after the results has been a mixed experience for me. And in the initial days, I received a lot of warm wishes from my family and friends, and this was really uplifting. And having some extra time at home has been nice, and this has allowed me to relax and reflect my journey so far. So, I've been using this time to explore my options and interests for my upcoming residency and preparing for what's next. So overall, I am excited and looking forward to my future.
Yeah, that is necessary. The break is very necessary after this 1 year of preparation. Okay, so Aniket, firstly tell us, how were you as a student in your MBBS years? Like, how were you? You were a topper, average student, and how was your life in general?
So during my MBBS years, I was mainly focused on building concepts, be it reading the standard textbooks in the initial profs, or as I progressed to the final profs, I started watching a lot of videos. So this all helped me strengthen my understanding and also covering the syllabus as well. So at that time, I was not into solving MCQs per se. However, later when I started working on MCQs, so those concepts actually really came handy. So I was able to grasp the subject much faster. So, and also along with that, I genuinely enjoyed some of my clinical postings back then. For example, the off-thal postings, there were a lot of fascinating instruments and, those machines and stuff, everything. So in my final prof, medicine clinics became my favorite along with OBGY. And so I felt that these postings were not just interesting, they also helped me understand a lot of theory part as well. So, because for vast subjects like medicine, so it is not possible for most of the students to go through the entire textbook, which is this thick. So, and plus there are other subjects as well. So, clinical exposure really made reading stuff feel even more relevant. And once all my prof exams were done, I shifted my focus entirely to MCQs and started preparing seriously for the exam in the internship.
So I think that's one pointer that all of you should take, that while in MBBS years, we really need to study more conceptually and, clinically oriented. We need to build the concepts. We really need to have that clarity among all the subjects. So yeah, so
Exactly.
Dr. Aniket, when did you start your preparation?
As I said, I started my preparation in the internship period itself. So initially, I used the Marrow rapid revision videos, the RR videos, and I used the printed notes to annotate upon. And one of the toughest decisions that I faced was whether to go back to my main notes and or matlab, I should start fresh with the RR
I can
content.
relate to that
So, but
totally.
yeah. So, but honestly, I going back to those bulky notes just was not practical, and so I decided to, let's say, give RR a shot. And since they are also taught by the same faculty, so those concepts they clicked very easily, and it was like a quick recap of everything that I had studied in the past 4 years. So, with full confidence, I politely retired my main notes. After that, I basically sorted out the subjects. Like some of them, they required me to watch the videos as well along with the notes. And while others of them, they were just manageable with the notes alone. So after finishing this phase of first reading, I started practicing MCQs. because reading the notes gets monotonous at times, right? So to avoid that, I used to do some small custom modules in between here and there. But I made this mistake of delaying my GTs because I could not gather the courage to attempt then. So, but eventually I did. In December, I gave my first GT to just see where I stood, and it wasn't a great score, but it was a decent enough to get me started. And from there, I took GTs regularly. So there was a phase when my GT scores they kind of like plateaued, and that hit me really hard. So I was just exploring online and I discovered BTR at just the right time. I mean, I quickly completed the BTR in the last couple of months, I can say, leading up to the exam. And that made a huge difference. It kind of, added another layer to my preparation, consolidating my knowledge and, refining everything. And the best part I felt was the test and discussions because, the
Was
tests were framed by Zainab herself, right? So that made it even more relevant. And the tests were also followed by the live video discussions. So, that really helped me improve my MCQ solving approach, to spot trappers, to identify the buzzwords, and to how to rule out the options systematically. So by this time, I was like prepared with my notes, and this all ensured me to revise everything like towards the end.
Okay. So I think one pointer that everyone should take is, guys, all of us may have studied from main notes, right? But it's
Hmm.
knowledge. It won't go anywhere. It will be there with you. So don't fall into that FOMO कि अगर main notes नहीं पढ़ेंगे कुछ नया शुरू करेंगे तो फिर we'll be starting from scratch. But I think now it's very clear that that is knowledge and it will stay with you. In fact, when you choose a concise source for yourself, it actually benefits you, right? When we did RR and after that when we shifted to BTR, it actually helped way more. I think that is the best thing that you could have heard today that, it's not really important to go back to your notes. It's okay. We'll make it.
Some of my juniors they asked me कि क्या करें कि वापस से मेन नोट्स पढ़ना स्टार्ट कर दें तो सेम डिलेमा मैंने भी फेस किया था सो जो मेरा एक्सपीरियंस था दैट्स व्हाट आई शेयर्ड विद देम एंड आई थिंक दे विल रिलेट टू दैट
I have also been saying the same things because होता क्या है ना यार हम जब नोट्स बनाते हैं ना तो we put our effort so much into it और फिर उसको पढ़ना नहीं उसको let go करना it's very difficult because we kind of become
सो
attached कि इतनी मेहनत से बनाए थे तो पढ़ तो लेते हैं. But then I think you have to
एग्जैक्टली
choose very wisely, you have to choose your like sources properly so you don't fall back in this race. Okay. So Aniket, very important question and the one question that everybody wants to know, how did you manage it during internship? How did you take out that time for study? Amidst all these busy postings. So how did you do it?
So yeah, it was kind of tough. Matlab, I was not that very consistent, I would say, in the studies along with the internship. Especially after my final prof exams, which were really exhausting. So I had zero motivation to study at all, and I, kind of just needed a break from all of it. So initially, I took some time for myself, and during the mid of my internship, I had heavy rotations, in the departments of medicine, surgery, and OBGY. So finding time to study was tough. And in fact, on the hectic days, I would skip studying altogether only. But on the other days, I'd watch a couple of RR videos or some do some custom modules. So that kind of helped me to maintain that rhythm. And then, as I said, I gave my first baseline GT quite late in the around the month of December. So from there, I can say three things motivated me to take my preparation seriously. So first, my scores needed improvement. Secondly, the exam got postponed after a few days, so that gave me a good 6 months to prepare for the exam seriously. And thirdly, my postings they became lighter. So with just 4 months of my internship left, I focused mainly on the high yield topics, solving previous year questions, and I found the BTR as I said. So I started consolidating that also. The last 2 months were very crucial. The internship ended, and I had all the 24 hours to myself. So what I did was I trusted my source and did more revision cycles, pushed myself through the self doubts, and just when all of us thought, we were ready to give the exam and the exam was called off, 11 hours before it was set to begin. And so that was tough and we were so clueless. And the only option left was to, start it all over again. And so that's the reason I pushed my limits even further and fixed my weaker areas and revised all of it again. And I can say in the hindsight, those extra weeks gave me the final boost that was much required.
Exactly. So now I think we can say that, whatever happens, happens for good. So, Aniket, tell me, like us being from a semi-government college, right? So we always have that thing कि हम private college से हैं, will we be able to make it? And plus, being in internship, you know that there are people who have 24 hours to themselves who are preparing, they are also in the race. And plus, there are people who are from government colleges, and so we are competing against all of them. So did you ever feel like giving up? Did you ever have that doubt that maybe, I cannot do it? Maybe I should take more time. Maybe I should take things slow. And if you did, like, how did you manage it? Because that's extremely important part of the journey. Like, how do you deal with setbacks?
Our college being a semi government slash private, matlab, really never bothered me as such. Like I never felt any significant inadequacy in my education or training, right? And like other student, I also did experience some doubts regarding my capability of clearing the exam. But then I realized that these doubts are a common part of learning process. It doesn't matter whether you have done your MBBS from a very prestigious institute like AIMS. I mean, it's not like that कि the AIMS guy को उसको नहीं feel हुआ होगा कि मैं ये exam crack कर सकता हूँ कि नहीं कर सकता हूँ. So these are a common part of learning process which I realized, and they were not unique to my situation. So instead of dwelling on them, I mainly focused on my strengths because one cannot control the mindset of the examiner who is going to put up the questions, right? And you also cannot control the difficulty level of the exam. And saying the current scenario, you cannot even control the date on which the exam will be conducted,
That-
right? So you can control is your emotional stability on the game day, right? Or how well you are ahead of the time. That is your time management skills. So focusing on these aspects with the help of grant tests and everything will truly make a difference, I feel. And that is how I approached my Neet PG preparation with this clear mindset that I had to give the best GT of my life. And I will not fixate on the uncertain outcomes of the exam. And instead, I concentrated on improving my performance in the grand test. And gradually, as my GT scores improved, I also became more confident. And I genuinely believed that my actual performance on the exam day would align very closely with my GT scores only. So this was a very strong belief, and it also happened in my May INI CT. So I was giving the GTs before the exam, and almost the similar score was there in the result of scorecard of the final result. So this is what precisely happened with me in the Neet PG also. So such is the importance of grant tests, and they are learning tools more than a testing tool. And your video last week did a great job, explaining the importance of GTs.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. I always keep saying everyone this that firstly you got to believe in yourself, right? It really doesn't matter तुम कौन से college से हो, private, deemed, government. It doesn't matter. What matters is how much you are willing to give to this preparation, right? And how much can you control your mind? How much you can motivate yourself and push yourself. कि यार तुम कर लोगे, कोई बात नहीं, तुम कर लोगे. वो भी तो लोग हैं ना जो कर रहे हैं. So I think that is
Exactly.
how you really need to just keep going. जैसे भी करते रहो बस करते रहो. And tests as you said वो तो we cannot avoid it. You have to give it क्योंकि वही confidence देंगे. There's no other thing that is going to tell you कि हाँ तुम सही जा रहे हो except for the GTs, right? So okay, Dr.
Very right.
Ahuja, what is the final advice that you would like to give for all the aspirants who are preparing for NEET PG?
So, final advice, it's gonna be a long one. So, I would say, first of all, start early. It's crucial to begin your preparation well in advance because this will give you ample time to cover your syllabus thoroughly and make as many mistakes possible before the exam, because so that they can be avoided on the final day. It all ultimately comes down to that single day. So, you should be well prepared for that. Secondly, I will say create a study plan, a well structured plan that breaks down your syllabus into smaller sections. You can start by creating a long term goal, say for the next 4 months, and then break it down into 1 monthly targets and schedule a GT at the end of each month. Then within that framework also, you can make smaller, like weekly or 2 weekly goals. So this approach will help you keep track of the syllabus, that whatever things you have covered in these 2 weeks and what's still left, you can adjust that backlog in the following week, right? So this way your timetable also remains flexible and you reach your long-term goal within the same time limit. So, and also don't forget to include buffer days in your plan to address those backlogs. Thirdly, I can say that focus on the high yield topics instead of trying to cover everything at once. Prioritize high yield topics and previous year questions first. So this will help you identify the areas that are frequently tested, so that you can master upon them. And another important tip is to prepare your notes well ahead of time. I mean, these will be your only go-to resource for revision, right? And you won't be making notes 1 month before the exam, right? You will rely on the notes which are already available with you. So that's why it's crucial to make those concise, high yield, and PYQ based notes. It's more effective to go through 250 pages of concise notes 4 times rather than reading those 1,000 pages of one
Exactly.
main
I'm
note just
so glad you said this. कम पढ़ो लेकिन प्लीज बार बार पढ़ो.
बार पढ़ो. Because this visual memory of your own notes is very essential, and that comes with revision, which is my next point. So make revision a part of your routine, revisiting those topics multiple times, especially your weaker subjects. This review will help you build more memory synapses, and help retain the information better. Then practice GTs. I cannot emphasize enough on the importance of regularly attempting GTs. This will only help you familiarize yourself with the exam format. And not only that, it will also help you track your progress and make this a habit of tracking your scores, not the rank, but the scores, because a score is a reflection of the number of the corrects and the incorrects, and that will highlight the areas which need improvement. So, in short, revision, I can say, builds memory, and GTs, they build confidence. Then you should take breaks and take care of your mental health. You should not neglect it. Balancing your study with relaxation is very important to avoid burnout. And lastly, I can say that maintain a positive mindset. It's very natural to feel down at times, but self belief is crucial. So focus on the progress that you make rather than comparing yourself to others. I once read somewhere that if you fall into the habit of continually comparing yourself to others, this will ensure that you are always unsatisfied. No matter how much you achieve, you will always be in that unsatisfied zone. So this is called as law of contrast. There will always be people who are talented and more genetically gifted than you, or who may be further along in their own journeys. So comparing yourself to them will only make you feel bad, right? So I can say, don't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 21, right? So believe in yourself, take it one day at a time, and keep pushing forward, and remember that your hard work will eventually pay off. All the best.
Those were very beautiful words from your side, Dr. Aniket, and I think it's extremely important, that people hear these things. So you always compare to yourself. How were you in the last GP? How were you the last month? Whether are you improving or not? So I think that is all that matters. So yes, thank you, Dr. Aniket, for this great conversation, being a part of this great conversation. I was very excited for this. That man has done something phenomenal, and people really need to hear your story. So, Aniket, before we wrap up this conversation, let's just do a quick kind of rapid fire with most asked questions. So, firstly, one master source for Neet PG preparation.
Okay, so master source, that would be BTR for me, because I feel that this is the most concise and refined revision source ever possible.
The importance of GTs.
Okay, GTs, as I said, they are not just the testing tools, they are also the learning tools. The real exam is like a war, and you need weapons for that. So GTs are those weapons for you.
That's a very great answer. Okay, dealing with the bad days, rough days, and the setbacks.
Okay, so you can see that this is a very nice quote written behind me, and this used to be my daily motivation back then. This says that the only way to finish is to start. So when I used to feel demotivated or not able to study, so I used to feel that if I need to finish today's goal, I need to start, and that was my biggest motivation to deal with the bad days.
That's nice. That's nice. So, at the end, Dr. Aniket, was it all worth it?
Yes, it was all worth it, and this journey has been so far very is very close to my heart. And I can say that living this journey is more important than reaching the exact goal. So I reached my destination, but the journey was more important, and it was all worth it, I can say.
That's nice. Thank you, Dr. Aniket, for being a part of this conversation. And I think, as you rightly said, it's not just about cracking this exam, it's about living the journey and growing as a person, as a doctor through this journey. I think that's very important. And I hope, people will take that motivation from you that if you set your mind to something, anything is possible. So thank you, Aniket. Thank you so much for being a part of this. And I will see you soon.
Thank you so much.
So, guys, that was me in conversation with Dr. Anikait Ahuja, and I think he really had mentioned some really good points, which each one of us should take back home. Whoever is preparing for this Neet PG, I hope it helped you, and I hope that you could take away something from this conversation. All the best, guys. Keep studying, keep doing your part, and eventually we'll all get there. Thank you, and have a nice day.